charitable giving is not something that is just for the wealthy. Mm-hmm. It is for absolutely everybody. If you want to make an impact, if there are things that you care about, putting any resources to it is going to be recognized and appreciated by the organization.
Welcome to Better Together podcast, produced and directed by Our Hospice of South Central Indiana, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to making every moment count. We will share true stories about hospice, palliative, and personal care services that we provide in 22 counties all over South Central Indiana. I'm your host and president, Steph Cain. Well, in the studio today, we have with us Patrick Andrews. Welcome.
Hi, Steph. How are you?
I'm excellent. Thank you. Glad to have you.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here.
So Patrick serves with me in Rotary, the Rotary Club of Columbus, Indiana.
That's right. Yes.
And what I know about Patrick is that he is also a native of Columbus, a Columbus Bulldog, right?
That's exactly right. Yes.
North High School.
2008 graduate from Columbus North High School.
Nice, nice. And also a certified financial planner with the company Wisdom, Wealth, and Abundance, where he helps individuals and families make informed financial decisions, especially during life's major transitions. So, Patrick is deeply involved with our Columbus community, really serving on many local organizations. I talked about our Columbus Rotary Club, Columbus City Utilities, Columbus Indiana Philharmonic, and also the Bulldog Alumni Association. And you live with your amazing wife, Sharon.
Yes.
And your beautiful son, Hudson, and Sharon serves on our hospice board.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah.
So we are quite familiar with Our Hospice.
Yes. I wonder if we could just get a little bit of your background and tell me what led, you to the career of financial planning. And the second part of that is, what do you like most about helping people make informed financial decisions?
Yeah. I think it's probably worthwhile to sort of start from the very beginning, right?
Yeah.
When I left IU Bloomington and came back to Columbus, I worked for Cummins for about 10 years, all marketing and sales activities.
Okay.
And really, I loved working with Cummins customers. That was the thing that was most exciting about work, was getting into what problems the customer was having and really trying to solve them. And I sat down with a mentor of mine about 5 years ago, and we were talking about, hey, what's sort of the career look like in the future? And he said, as I understand what you're trying to do, and I think that there might be some interesting opportunities if you were to, frankly, move from working with OEMs and such, but hey, what if you did this much more on a personal level? What if you started to work with people on some incredibly, I would call it, intimate topics around their finances?
Yeah.
That led me to a shift over to WWA, where I work with a couple different CFPs.
And tell me what all those acronyms.
Yeah, so sorry. Yes. So WWA Planning Investments. That
sounds like a World Wrestling Federation.
Exactly. So WWA stands for Wisdom, Wealth, Abundance. And then CFP is Certified Financial Planner. So that means, right, we've gone through different education and requirements to become certified in really personal financial planning, right? So focusing on people's finances and such. And so, yeah, that's what that means. But I work with a couple CFPs, and we help families figure out, hey, how do I optimize and maximize what I have, and really try to help them make some really interesting decisions at really interesting times of their lives, whether it's retirement, whether it's having kids and where do we figure out college, and then also at the end of life as well. How are we sort of helping you think through what does the plan look like through the entirety of your financial life?
You want to know, as you're talking through this, I see such a beautiful thread in connection to our hospice, in that, our mission is to make every moment count. And we're asking patients these days, what matters most to you today? And those intimate questions, they follow along with, legacy planning.
Mm-hmm.
They follow along with having those conversations sooner, while you're healthy and while you're, whatever amount of time you have left, make every moment count. And so the financial piece of stewarding gifts and resources that you have for the future or for the community, it's a big part of that.
It absolutely is. And I think, Steph, it aligns very well with how we like to think about our financial planning is let's make decisions when you can. Let's not let emergencies make the decision for us. Instead, let's be deliberate and plan ahead and say, hey, this is what we're going to do, both from a health perspective, but also then from charitable giving and such. How do I want to leave my legacy? And what do I want my legacy to look like as a person in the community? And so that's the type of planning that we really like to get into, and being ahead of it is incredibly important because it makes sure that, hey, every moment
is counting.
It counts. Yeah. Exactly right.
You're being intentional.
Exactly.
Right around what matters most. Yeah.
So I think, Steph, just something for your listeners to be thinking about as well is, we're talking about a lot of different strategies and such here, but it's worthwhile for you to make sure to sit down with your tax preparer or tax professional, a financial advisor, or an attorney, just to make sure that these strategies fit within your financial plan.
For someone that's listening who wants to support a nonprofit or a cause that they care about, what are some of the most common ways to include charitable giving as part of their overall financial plan?
There's a few different avenues that sort of jump off the page initially, right? And there's some milestones as point us to the availability of these different things. So, first of all, right, just writing a check, right, of course, and really sort of planning on that, hey, on an annual basis, right, I always am going to make my gift to Our Hospice, or I'm going to make a gift to church or whatever that may be, and really building that into, hey, I've got a budget for the year, and I always know that I'm going to be putting that money in and putting that money towards the things that I care about. So, that's sort of the first and probably the most simple step. And regardless of where you are in your financial journey, in your life's journey, right, you have the opportunity to do that every single year.
Can I give you a shout out at this time? I was thinking about you and Sharon. You're a young family, and you love this community. You grew up in this community. I think about that gift that you made to, our hospice center for music and memories, right? And that's something that it means so much to so many. And at the same time, there are a number of places, you could give, and we're grateful for that. So thank you. And I love that you made an intentional plan and, a bucket list. That's something that mattered to you and your family, music, making sure that is something that we have in common is the universal language.
Yeah.
We have patients that come to the hospice center that are struggling to remember their name or their family members, and yet we have a piano, and when our volunteer comes to play a song, they sit down with them, they'll remember hymns, they'll remember words that we're just so amazed. So thank you for that gift.
Yeah, of course. I think the power of music is absolutely incredible, and I think you're the expert in this space, but it seems that it is an incredible thing for people going through end of life and through memory challenges and such, that music has an incredible impact on how things progress.
Yeah, it makes them feel like home.
Exactly.
And it can be a point of anxiety when you don't know what you used to know, right? And so that's a beautiful gift. Can you explain some of the options if we're looping back to charitable giving, things like donor advised funds?
Absolutely. So I think, the sort of next most interesting one would be actually gifting appreciated stock, right? And so, right, if you've got a brokerage account that you have been putting money into and you've not touched for 10 years, there's probably some capital gains that exist within that brokerage account where you can actually give to Our Hospice or any other nonprofit organization that stock, and you as the giftor don't pay the capital gains
on that.
You don't pay taxes on that.
So then it's a beautiful thing. You can give a gift to a charity that you care about and then reduce your tax burden on that.
Exactly.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Exactly. And so there's some limits around how much you can do in a year and such, but for most people, right, that's with the type of gifts that most people give, it's you don't touch any of those thresholds or anything like that. And really, it is an incredibly tax efficient way of approaching gifting because you can avoid some of those capital gains taxes and such with giving stock. And the question that I oftentimes get with gifting stock is the organization going to have to pay taxes? And because you're a nonprofit organization, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't pay those taxes.
Yeah. We were talking about legacy gifts before we started here a little bit with recording. So how does that work?
Yeah, so I think the probably the easiest one for and this is frankly for everybody, regardless if you're just starting out working and you've got that first 401k plan, or you are operating with a large IRA, right? One of the things that you can do is you can of course put people on your IRAs or 401ks as beneficiaries. In the case that you passed away, those funds would go to those people. But you can also put organizations on there as well. A place like Our Hospice, you could put at least part of a gift or the entirety of the IRA or 401k as Our Hospice as the beneficiary of the account. And usually, and I assume, Steph, this is probably the case, is you usually like people to tell you that.
It would be wonderful. Yeah, if we knew it.
If you know,
we can thank them.
Exactly. So there's an opportunity for some acknowledgement, and but then also it helps the organization plan a bit. I think one of the other ones to talk about from an IRA perspective is when you turn 70 and a half, one of the things that you're afforded the opportunity to do is do what's called a qualified charitable distribution.
Okay.
What a QCD or qualified charitable distribution does is you distribute money out of your IRA to a nonprofit organization such as Our Hospice, and for the client or for the person, the owner of the IRA, you are not recognizing that distribution as income, so you're not going to pay taxes on that distribution, and instead it goes to the organization. The other thing that's kind of interesting with that is when you hit there's some transitions in terms of the ages now, but 73 currently, and then eventually it'll be 75. You've got, for an IRA and for a 401k plan, you've got required minimum distributions that you have to take money out. You have to recognize that money as income to you and pay taxes on that. Well, if you use this qualified charitable distribution avenue, then it enables you to not have to recognize it as income and thus not pay those taxes. You're doing great things by supporting an organization that that needs the support and that does incredible work in the community, and then also you get some benefits out of that as well.
Wondering what some of the misconceptions are out there about charitable giving, and especially the idea that you have to be wealthy to make a meaningful impact, because this could be for everyone.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, these rules exist for absolutely everybody. And I think with my experience working with other nonprofit organizations, every gift counts.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely every gift counts.
Mission critical.
It's I mean, even the $10 gift, right? That matters because it supports the mission. It supports what we're trying to do. Charitable giving is not something that is just for the wealthy. It is for absolutely everybody. If you want to make an impact, if there are things that you care about, putting any resources to it is going to be recognized and appreciated by the organization.
Yeah. What's the right time for someone to start talking with a financial advisor or their family about charitable giving or legacy planning?
Right now, when you're thinking about it, when you're listening to this podcast, right, you might as well send a text to your advisor or start thinking about it with your family that, hey, if this is something that I care about and this is something that I want to do, it doesn't matter what age I am. It does not matter what stage in life I am. This is always something to be thinking about and be aware of and build into that financial plan, right? When we work with our clients about sort of what we're building plans for 30, 40 years. And these types of discussions, when we're pre-retirement or even just getting started, we're saying, hey, what are your expectations for your legacy and how do we actually build that in? So there's no time like the present to do that. The thing with planning, and this is charitable planning, but it's also, frankly, end-of-life planning as well, is the more that you can communicate to your family what your expectations are, whether that is verbally or even better in writing, the easier the process is going to be for the family when you pass. It's an incredible gift. It can be more valuable than the money, in fact.
Yeah.
Because we then know for sure, hey, this is what mom wanted or this is what dad wanted, and I don't have any doubts in my mind about what those desires were.
Death and taxes, they're both going to count.
That's exactly. Unfortunately, yes. Unfortunately, they do both happen.
They do. All right, let me shift gears. You and Sharon are both very involved in our Columbus community, and Sharon also serves, like we talked about, on our board. How has that shaped commitment to giving back for your family?
When Sharon and I decided we wanted to move back into the community, one of the reasons that we wanted to make that jump back into Columbus was it's a vibrant place. It's a place that has civic pride, and there are some really strong institutions that exist that create that civic pride and create that foundation of what makes Columbus great. And we looked at that and said, this is something that we want to be a part of. And so how do we jump in feet first and make that happen? It took us a couple of years to sort of figure out exactly where we wanted to start with that. We started on the art side of things, and we've kind of expanded beyond that. But it is something that we find incredibly fulfilling, right?
It is some deep purpose there for your family.
Absolutely. We find it incredibly fulfilling, and it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily have to be funds either, right? Just volunteering and jumping in and saying, hey, I'm going to come help.
Even with Rotary, service above self.
Right. So exactly. Really jumping in and saying, hey, I have got time, I've got talent, and I've got treasures.
If our listeners wanted to reach out and kind of process that with you or get some more information, how can they reach you?
Either going through my email, that'd be patrick@wwafp.com. Or you can, of course, give me a call as well as 812-379-1120.
This is Better Together, a podcast dedicated to making every moment count. Thank you for listening. Please like us and share on your social media channels. If you have a question, you'd like to learn more about a specific topic, you can find us at ourhospice.org. That's OUR hospice.org, or call 812-314-8083. Until next time, remember, life is short. We are better together, making every single moment count.